every religion known to mankind has had fasting as a foundation of their religion. Catholicism, Christianity, Buddhism, Hindu, Muslim, Islam. They all have fasting as and why? Because centuries ago we didn't have access to the kind of medications and things we had now, so we had to allow the body to heal itself. And magic things happen in the human body when you fast. And again, why don't most people fast? They don't like to be hungry. They don't want to be uncomfortable. When you're hungry, you're alert, you're oriented, you're sharp. Like right before you eat, that's where you are the most alert and awake, because ancestrally we were hunting for food.
Yeah.
And so if we learn to fast 2 or 3 times a year, 2 days, 3-day water fasts, what this does for your cellular biology is astounding, because the body is so fascinating. When you don't give it a fuel source and it doesn't get a chance to eat, it continues to eat, but it eats by eating you. And what it eats is the least efficient part first. It's like Mother Nature, the weakest, the weakest animals in the herd. It's sad, but it's true. I mean, the herd has got to progress, and so the weakest animals fall behind. They get eaten first. If the herd had to slow down, you'd put the whole herd at risk. Human body is no different. We have cells in our body called senescent cells. Senescent cells are also called zombie cells. These are the cells in your body that are no longer capable of doing their job. So imagine having a company with millions of employees, and you got a bunch of lazy employees sucking off the payroll, not doing their job. What the immune system will do is go in and eat them and replace them with somebody that will do their job.
If only that were just like how it worked out in the real world outside. Really?
We hired the Terminator would just come in and just eat.
Mysteriously eaten, just like a game of Pac-Man.
Exactly. And so what happens is you got like red blood cells that can't carry oxygen. You got white blood cells that can't mount an immune defense. You got platelets that can't carry growth factors. Your body will break these cells apart, turn them into fuel, break them into amino acids, and literally clean you out of all of this useless garbage, right? It will turn it into fuel. It's so incredibly intelligent. I mean, the more I've studied the human body, the closer it's brought me to God, because there is no way that this happened by accident.
No.
Right? You're never going to convince me 2 bacteria got together one day in a mud puddle and, they did a bacterial smooch, and they had a bacteria family, and then, a lizard grew out, and the next thing you know, we had apes and monkeys and human. It's not. There's so many gaps in the fossil record for evolution. I don't want to turn this into that debate on the podcast, but this was designed by God, and the more we study human physiology and get away from chemicals and synthetics and pharmaceuticals, the more we realize the magnificence of what we have. And if we would give this body the raw material it needs to do its job, and by that I mean basic vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and by the end of the podcast I'll tell you what some of my favorites are, which by the way are not mine, then you would see human beings start to thrive in ways they never thought possible.
You talk about the amino acids and the different things that we can add in, and those are like supplements or vitamins, right? But then you say a whole food diet. And so many people, we got all the diets out here. We got the vegan, the vegetarian, the paleo, the keto, the
Atkins,
all the different diets. What is the type of food? What are the foods that we should be eating that are non-negotiables in our life?
So I do think that animal protein needs to be a part of
for the vegans,
our life.
Because I was vegan for 5 years, and I eat fish every now and again.
Good.
But you're saying animal protein should be in the diet.
No question. Animal protein should be in a diet.
Dom, where is Dom? He's out of the room. He's a vegetarian. He's a vegan.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll fix that. And the reason for this is because something is not meat does not mean it's healthy.
No.
Right? I mean,
we know that for sure.
Looked at the ingredients on a non-burger or unburger.
I don't eat any of those things.
Good.
So none of the mock meats, the fake meats.
So even if you are vegan or vegetarian, you're already you're vegan or vegetarian, you can have white flour, white rice, white bread, white pasta, white potatoes. You can have beer, you can have potato chips, right? So you can have all of these things that are not meat. And I think this is where we go wrong. So by whole food, I mean that we need to eat foods as close to its natural form as possible.
Yeah.
Farm to table sort of idea. Line caught fish, pasture raised eggs, free range chicken, grass fed meats, and vegetables that are grown in without the herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, preservatives. A lot of what we spray on our crops, glyphosate being the nastiest, are what we call forever chemicals. Our body doesn't have a mechanism to get rid of these things. And so it sounds like fear-mongering, but we're not fear-mongering. We're actually just trying to get around the system and get back to the basics. Your grandparents knew what was up.
Absolutely.
Like my grandmother used to can vegetables.
My grandmother's garden, both my grandmother's garden.
They garden. You go downstairs in their basement. I'm like, Grandma, this is so creepy. It got like pickles and kimchi and
Pickled
sauerkraut.
okra and
That stuff is so good for you. The fermented veggies are one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can put in the body, and they have both soluble and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber becomes something called free fatty acids, which are non-negotiable for human beings. The insoluble fiber creates bulk in our intestines, linked to reduced rates of colon cancer. So eating a diet that is in its whole food form. So, for example, I talk a lot about seed oils, and people think that I'm attacking the plant. I'm not. I'm attacking the distance from the plant to the table, because when you take a canola plant, for example, we also call it a rapeseed. We just don't like the sound of rapeseed, so we go with canola. And so you take a canola plant, you put it in a commercial press, and it comes out gummy, right? So now we degum it with something called hexane, which is a very powerful known neurotoxin. So we take that neurotoxic degummed oil, and then we heat it to 405 degrees, and that turns it rancid. So now it's putrefied. And so then we deodorize it with something called sodium hydroxide.
Yikes.
Powerful carcinogen. And then often we'll bleach it and then bottle it and put it on the shelf. You ever walk down the aisle in a grocery store and you notice like all the vegetable oils are exactly the same color?
Same color.
It's that perfect, beautiful little bright light yellow, and it's clear. That didn't happen in nature, right?
No.
It was chemically processed to look that way. And then the biggest sin is we take a heart healthy label from the American Heart Association and we stick it on the bottle, and then it says, heart healthy.
Yeah.
It's just like folic acid. We in 1993, when the chemical industry convinced the U.S. federal government to spray the entire grain supply with folic acid, which is in the United States, all flour, all bread, all pasta, all cereals.
That's why it says enriched.
Or fortified.
Or fortified.
So those are the two ways that we disguise that. We don't say sprayed with folic acid.
We say it's enriched.
We say it's enriched or fortified.
Yikes.
And so the sad thing is, the good mom that's walking down the cereal aisle is like, well, there's 4 boxes of cereal, and then these 2 are enriched and fortified. I'll grab the enriched or the fortified one. 8 essential vitamins, and we throw that in our basket. What's amazing is Whole Foods, real Whole Foods, don't make health claims. Like you don't go to the vegetable aisle and it's like, you see the avocados. This is good for your heart. This is, great for digestion. You don't go to the area where you see the onions, and this is excellent for colds. You go to all the processed foods, and what's all over the boxes of processed foods? Health claims.
All the health claims.
Heart healthy, good for digestion,
lower
8
cholesterol.
essential vitamins.
Yeah.
It's because we need to make health claims to draw you into these processed foods. But, there doesn't need to be a health claim on an avocado or a piece of grass-fed steak. Next time,
So for the person who is listening right now, who's like, I don't make enough money to eat healthy. It's too hard for me to eat healthy. I'm trying my best, check to check, all the things. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, do yourself a favor. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store next time you're in there. Okay, try to stay out of the aisles. You will find that you eat significantly more highly processed foods that supposedly cost you less than you do nutrient-dense foods, which will cost you more. The other thing you can do is you can prepare nutrient-dense foods. So I actually did this comparison. I have this thing on my social media I call lateral shifts, where I take any food that someone likes to eat. I have them open their refrigerator. I do it sometimes live on Instagram. Open the refrigerator, and I say, okay, what do you like to eat in there? And I promise them 3 things. Number one, or 2 things. Number one, I won't change the flavor or the taste profile. And number 2, I will not add a dime to their budget. So, they'll open the refrigerator and I'll see all these processed yogurts. And I'll go, okay, you like that? I won't name the brand, but that brand of processed yogurt with fruit on the bottom. Let's take one of those out. And they take it out and we spin it around and it says, okay, high fructose corn syrup, natural flavorings, natural fruit flavor. And natural fruit flavor is just a code word for ain't got no fruit, right? That's what that means. So natural blueberry flavor means ain't got a single blueberry, and has 54 grams of sugar and 2 grams of protein. I go, okay, so which one do you like? Oh, I like the blueberry. Okay, so next time you go to the store, I want you to buy a quart of whole fat Greek yogurt, and then I want you to just get a basket of organic blueberries, and we're going to get monk fruit. We're going to get a bag of monk fruit in bulk. And then when you get home, you're going to take, you're going to put about a cup of that yogurt into a bowl. You're going to take a fistful of those blueberries, and you're going to take a teaspoon or 2 of monk fruit, and you're going to mix it up. And now you're eating whole fat Greek yogurt, which has all of the fat. It has all of the proteins. It's very low in carbohydrate. You're eating nutrient-dense, antioxidant-rich organic blueberries and monk fruit.
Yeah.
And it tastes amazing, and the cost goes down because your cost to buy it in those convenient little tear-off packs is actually more than your cost to buy whole food in bulk.
Yeah.
So very often it's not more expensive.
I think is what people don't realize, it is really costing them in the long run.
Oh, dude, you can either pay now or pay later.
Hey, Vault family, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to check out our full interview on our channel at Vault Empowers Talks. We don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential leaders and change makers. Don't forget to like, to comment, and be sure to subscribe for more inspiring conversations. See you next time.